Q&A with Pat Stark. And if you guys have been following us, we're going out of our manual that we wrote, Lost Heart, and it really deals with emotional health and getting down to the root issues of certain behaviors or just patterns in our lives. It could be bad relationships or a lot of shame that we've lived under. And so we're trying to guide people through, using our book and talking and questions that you guys have written in and asked. So we're going to try to unpack some of those today. And one of them, Pat, people write in a lot, and I wrote it down, but they will be in a relationship and they know it's unhealthy for them. I mean, I get this all the time in counseling. And they want to leave it, the other person's miserable and they're miserable, and they just can't get out of it. And they talk about really being like emotionally needy. Like they'll sit there and say, I know it's ridiculous and I feel so stupid for being in it and I just can't get out, and I get that a lot. So do you have anything to like talk around that or to that?
A lot of times that comes from the fear of being alone. That any relationship is better than no relationship.
Yeah.
And that comes from abandonment issues from childhood or earlier on, where might not have been physical abandonment, but just emotional abandonment. I hear this a lot. People felt like they were in a family, but not connected to the family.
Yes.
Where they were always on the outside looking in, or didn't ever feel like they belonged, or anybody really got them.
Yeah.
And so when you have those feelings that have never been resolved, you carry them through into adulthood, and we end up in relationships that are not healthy, but they're better than no relationship. And so it's that can be a cycle of picking people that are actually safer because they don't require anything of them.
Yes.
And so they stay trapped in those kind of relationships.
And when you say they don't require anything of them, you're meaning like they're not really going to these vulnerable, deeper places. Right. It's kind of like what we talk about in the book, which is kind of exposing. It's exposing who you are, and it's almost saying, this is me, and you either love me or you don't. And I feel like even when you're talking about abandonment, I know even growing up for me, it wasn't like you said, I had a family, they didn't leave me. But emotionally, I felt like nobody saw me or validated, oh, Nicole, you're feeling that way, or this or that. It was almost like, our reality was pretty much denied. Like, no, you're not in pain.
Right.
No, you're
or
fine.
You're shamed.
Or you were shamed for being in pain.
You are.
Yeah. Yeah, I was shamed for being vulnerable or being weak.
Right. Or the opposite of that, very often, you're too much.
Yes.
It's not. It can go on either side of the spectrum. You're not enough,
or you're too much,
or you're too much.
And too much meaning like you're out there, you're just over the top.
Right.
And,
we don't know what to do with
tone it down.
So tone it down.
Yeah, you're kind of a out of the box person. Yeah.
Or other people try to make you into their image of who you should be, instead of discovering who you are.
Right. And so these people are picking these relationships out of that fear of loneliness, being left, and then it's kind of easier, even though they're both unhappy.
Right. I did that when I was in high school. I dated someone for 4 years that was totally wrong, but it was better than being alone.
Yeah.
And we try to stay safe.
Yeah.
And that feels, it's not safe, it's dangerous, but it's safer than being alone.
And I also too think that at that time, because I'm thinking about in my college when I did the same thing, I wasn't even aware, you're not even aware you're doing, I was so needy for love and so needy for emotional connection. Like I would do anything for this person. And it's like, and you kind of sell your soul for a crumb.
Right. And selling your soul, which includes being emotionally abused in the process.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, this guy was terrible.
Yeah, right.
Awful. And I remember feeling like devastated, and that's where the cycle, to answer the question of the person that wrote it, like that's where the cycle of, well, even though we split up, we get back together because we gotta keep this unhealthy, like you said from the very beginning. no connection is worse off than having a
Right.
bad connection.
Right.
I know I said
And-
that backwards. Having a bad connection is better than having no connection.
And if we're going to have healthy relationships, we have to be able to be alone in order to have a healthy relationship with someone else.
Yeah.
We have to learn how to have a relationship with ourselves
Yeah.
before we really can have a relationship with someone else that's real, clean, and healthy.
And I don't want to make this video too long, but I do want to touch on this. This book is we try to reach deeper and go into things with God and stuff. And sometimes I see that, and I even did this when I first got saved. I would make things really religious or spiritual and have that relationship with God, but still not know who I was.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I know you talk about a lot of that in your work and even in the book, by saying we can't. I tell a lot of my clients, like, just because you're spiritual and you love the Lord doesn't mean you're not emotionally unhealthy.
Absolutely.
So you can be a pastor or a bishop or some huge leader in the Christian community or in your religious community and still not have a good relationship with yourself.
Absolutely. That spirituality can be a hiding place.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying.
And we hide from the pain of life. We hide from the pain we're carrying inside of ourselves. And it's all very lofty and it's all very good, but it's not attached to the rest of us.
Right.
We're detached on the inside.
So I like what you were saying earlier about you really got to connect and emotionally feed yourself and know who you are first, even before you can have a relationship with someone else, but even before you are communion with God and have that intimate relationship with Him.
Right. Because then we're not connecting from the deepest part of it. We're connecting in our spirit, but not from the deepest part of our heart, because that's closed off, even from ourselves.
And unpack that a little bit, just for anyone viewing this. Like, the deepest part of our heart is really too our feelings, our will, the essence of our being, like our soul, like who we really, what makes us who we are.
Yes. And we begin to learn who we are by listening to emotions, because they're the voice of our heart. They're telling us something. Even the negative ones are telling us something about how we're feeling. But if we ignore them, we're ignoring our heart.
Yeah, and I guess that's why I was tying in spirituality, because I think sometimes in the, some places can, or even just the church in general will just teach like, don't worry about your feelings. Like, I've heard people say that. Don't worry about your feelings. Just keep on with the Lord. And it's like, so then we deny our feelings, just like they were denied growing up.
We separate
from them, and then our walk with the Lord is very, like you said, lofty and up here, and it's not real. I guess that's the word. It's got to be real. It's got to be genuine.
Where we live, where the rubber meets the road.
Because we live with emotions all the time.
Yes.
And so I just want to add that to that.
Just to also add, the goal is not to live out of our emotions.
Right.
The goal is to know our emotions so we can make good choices on the other side of them. And if we can't choose, it's because we're stuck somewhere.
Yeah, and that's so good. I just posted on Facebook the other day, like, our emotions are indicators, they're not dictators. So like what she's saying, we're not having to be ruled by them, but we also aren't completely denying them and just throwing them to the side.
They're part of us.
They're part of who we are.
To work through.
Yeah, so that's huge, especially when it comes, so if you are in a bad toxic relationship, or you have this like tie with someone and you can't get out of it, or you feel that you're being so emotionally needy, you are selling your soul, definitely pick up a copy of Lost Heart, because we talk about that in different areas of the book and kind of walk you through those processes of going a little bit deeper and getting to the root issue of that. So thanks so much, Pat, for touching on it. Yeah, that's really good stuff. Thanks, guys. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to Get Heart TV, and if you would like to grab a copy of our book, Lost Heart, go ahead and click on the link below this video and you can grab your copy today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel so you won't miss a video. And until next time, Get Heart.